if you're trying to make the league being a 40 goal scorer, good luck. I'm telling you, because it's hard. If you want to make it as a guy that's a detailed guy, good in the faceoff circle, block some shots, penalty kill, start it that way, you got a way better chance. I'll tell you that right now. And there's way more roles for that than there is the guy being on the right wing scoring 40. If I come to camp thinking I'm going to be a 30, 40 goal scorer, I got to beat out Liney or Bjorkstrand. Or I got to go to Edmonton and beat out Connor McDavid and Hyman and Draisaitl. Tall order, right? Here's a great example. I had, God rest his soul, Brad McCrimmon, who passed away in that flight in Russia. I had him as a coach in Atlanta. And all the time, he'd be like, Lars, what do you add into your toolbox today? You can't stop adding. If you're, I played left wing, right wing, and center in the NHL, all of it. They asked me to play center. I remember, I will never forget the day Bob Hartley said, you play center before? I said, oh yeah, lots. I hadn't played center since I was probably 12 years old. But I certainly wasn't going to say no because it was an opportunity to play. I said, yeah, I play lots of center. It lied right through my teeth. And then I started studying, and then I started working on face-offs. But guess what? Now it's got me on the penalty kill. It's got me taking face-offs because I can win face-offs on the penalty kill. It was getting me 3 or 4 minutes more ice time. And now I'm a guy, I can be a utility guy. You got to embrace it, right? You bloom where you're planted. Wherever they put you, be the best version of that. That always hung with me. I'm like, what a great idea. Like, instead of complaining and going, I should be this, it should be that, just do what do they ask me? Just do it. Do it the best of your ability. You got to really want to know what you want. If you want to be in the NHL, well, you're going to probably have to expand your game because by the time you get to the NHL, everybody was the best where they were at. Everybody. He was either the defenseman of the year. He was either defenseman of the year in Europe. He was the top scorer and the winger in Russia. He was the best centerman in college. He was in junior. He made first All-Star team and played on Team Canada. These guys are here because they were the best at what they did. So it is that pyramid effect. So now, how do you add value to this team? When I played in Colorado, and I looked at the team, there was, at that time, there were 6 Hall of Famers, and this team was like loaded to win. It wasn't playoffs, it was Stanley Cup or bust. You have Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and Ray Bourque and Rob Blake and Patrick Waugh. These guys were good Hall of Fame players. And I'm going, where do I fit in? I had to change. I had to add some grit, some fighting, some, being a rat, and not stuff that I wanted to do. I could be a 20 goal scorer in the American League, or I got an opportunity to play 6 minutes a night in the NHL and be an NHL player. There was guys in my team in the American League, really good players, that didn't want to do it. And I'm like, I'll do it. I'll try. At least I got no regrets. If it didn't work out, it wasn't going to be because I didn't try to do it. That was kind of my ace in the hole. I was able to work myself into a role that I wasn't a great fighter. I didn't know what to do, but I had to learn. He challenged me 12 games into the year. Are you going to hit anybody? I fought 3 games in a row. I'm like, all right. I'll add that. Why not? There had to be a willingness. My goal was to play in the NHL. I saw a path that I could get on that might get me there, and it did. It ultimately got me there and had a little over 300 games, so it was great.
So that's my interview with Brad Larsen, head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he's talking about the last 7%. There's so much that I love about that clip. I love the fact that he's talking about at the NHL level, obviously the highest level in the hockey universe, that he is still continually trying to challenge his players to be better. He is continually trying to raise the standards for them so they can step into a new, improved version of themselves. At that level, he's talking about 7%, right? And when I talk about peak potential, that's where Brad's going. These guys are amazing hockey players. They're NHLers, right? But there's still more. How can they extract more? How can Brad get that last 7% out of them? That is what I'm all about here at Up My Hockey, is peak potential, which is why I called my signature program the Peak Potential Hockey Project. How can we extract every ounce out of ourselves while chasing this dream that we have to play hockey? Now, for most of you that are listening to this right now, you're not an NHLer. You're an amateur athlete. So you have a lot farther to go, a lot more gains to make than the 7% Brad is talking about. But what is important to know here is that the process of getting better is exactly the same. And the beauty for you athletes that are having the 30 to 40% maybe to go before you reach your peak potential is that the gains happen quicker. You notice how Brad said that last 7% is the hardest because you have to work so hard to get that 1-2% improvement when you've squeezed the lemon so much that there's only a few drops left. But for you amateur athletes that are going through this right now, you can learn and you can develop so much faster with the right tools. And that is why in the Peak Potential Project, I committed an entire week of the Peak Potential Project to personal development. I called it 10x your development, where I give you what I call my peak potential process. A process of assessing your game, a process of assessing yourself, and understanding what it is you need to work on and how it is you're going to work on it. Committing to a process in whatever capacity and whatever age you're at is a fantastic tool to get started with. That commitment, that dedication, that self-awareness, all these great things that happen when you commit to a process not only help you in your self-belief and your self-confidence that you're somebody that can get things done when you commit to it, but you are also going to see the results on the ice. Your performance is going to improve. Your skill set is going to improve. And this doesn't mean 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is what I talk about in week 2 specifically. This needs to be dedicated, chunked out, personalized practice time. Deliberate intention on what you need to do in small increments. And if you can apply that type of intention to the ice when you're with your team at a regular practice time, now all of a sudden it becomes exponential how much better you're going to get and how much quicker you're going to get and how much you're going to be able to close the gap on those ahead of you in the system and how you're going to be able to elongate the gap of those that are already behind you. This is a competitive game, and if our approach to development, if you take ownership as an athlete of your development, you are going to be light years ahead of the competition. And there is a science to it, and there is a mindset approach to it, which is why I dedicate an entire week to it. And the beautiful thing is, with Brad Larsen talking there about the last 7%, I want you amateur athletes to recognize that he also chunks it down into 2 or 3 things for the athlete to focus on. And he's also said in a previous interview, which I will share with you now, is that at the NHL level, it is hard for the players to commit to it. Even when they're getting paid as their profession to commit to improvement and the coach gives them 2 or 3 things, he said it's rare that he will see an athlete still working on the things that he told them to 30, 60 days after they've spoken about it. Now think about that. What a competitive advantage that is for you as a younger athlete to get dedicated, that you can follow through and be accountable to getting better and improving and to listening to what the coach directs you to do. My goodness, the sky is the limit when it comes to that. And just remember to never be complacent either. I just want to end on that. A guy like Connor McDavid, right? The arguably, maybe not even arguably, the best player on the planet right now, spent his entire offseason improving his one-timer and also his face-offs because he thought those were 2 weaknesses in his game. His one-timer, right? Like one of the leading goal scorers, best players on the planet, thinks he can shoot the puck better from a one-time position and dedicate an entire summer to have some coaching around it and everything else. So that's the type of curiosity and that's the type of exploration I encourage you to have about your own game. Where can you get better? Not only do I want you to work on your strengths, those things that make you unique and amazing, but you need to make sure you identify what your weaknesses are. Because every time you step up in the skill funnel, in the league process, right? You get older, you get to junior, you get to college, maybe you're lucky enough to get to pro. The funnel tightens. Everyone becomes good, and there is lots of reasons to say you're not good enough, right? Teams and associations and managers are finding ways to keep you out, not let you in. So you don't want to give them glaring, obvious reasons of why you can't play there. Don't let your skating hold you back. Don't let your ability to pass the puck hold you back, or your situational awareness, or your lack of consistency. Whatever those things are, you need to clean them up and give attention to them sooner than later. And that is just being dedicated and professional in your approach, which is something that I definitely help athletes with. And it's something that week 2 of the Peak Potential Hockey Project covers quite thoroughly. So anyways, I love that from Brad Larsen, the last 7%. Commit to a process right now. Find a process that you can commit to. Get yourself better. Be dedicated to it. Be committed to it. And if you are lucky enough to get to that last 7%, you will be one of the ones that have been so well educated and so well disciplined in continuing on with the process that you'll be able to find that last 7% and have the greatest rewards. So that's all for me. Thank you for listening to this episode of Lessons from a Pro. And as always, which I don't do enough, if you are here and you're still listening, that means you like the content here. That means you should press the subscribe button. That means you should share this content with other people and follow along, because it's all about how to get better here as a hockey player, whether you're a parent, a coach, or a player. And that's what you're going to find here in Up My Hockey. So like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.